let's get into the history of writing letters to Santa. There really is little information as to how the tradition of writing Santa a letter started, but what was found was one single reference to a letter written from a little girl in the 1200s to the real Saint Nicholas. And this is actually what this little girl wrote. It's so cute. It says, "Saint Nicholas, patron of good children, I kneel for you to intercede. Hear my voice through the clouds, and this night give me some toys. I want most of all a playhouse with some flowers and little birds." I think that is just the cutest thing ever, and the first ever documented letter to Santa. The 1200s, are you kidding me? It seems that the tradition of writing to Santa to ask for gifts really didn't take hold until the late 1800s, and as the tradition goes, little boys and girls continue to sit down with paper and pencil or crayon and write to Santa telling him how well they have behaved throughout the year, detailing the good things they have done and why they deserve to be bestowed with the gifts that they desire. So once again, all really good things, we've all done it, and now we're gonna talk about the spookier things. Here's some very creepy legends about Santa letters that, like I said, happens in like less than 1% of the time. In some unsettling tales, it's suggested that when you write a letter to Santa, the recipient might not always be the jolly old man himself. There are whispers of mysterious entities intercepting these letters, responding in ways that might not align with the joyful spirit of Christmas. According to eerie legends, some children have reported receiving replies to their Santa letters that contain cryptic messages or unsettling predictions. Legends tell of a ghostly figure known as the Postal Phantom, who is said to roam the realm between the mortal world and the North Pole. This spectral messenger is rumored to deliver Santa's letters, but may also bring eerie energies into the homes of those who participate in this holiday tradition. And in eerie lore, the act of writing a letter to Santa is thought to invite supernatural surveillance into the child's life. The idea is that mystical forces may watch over the child, taking note of their actions and behavior throughout the year, with potential consequences for those who fall on the naughty list, like maybe being turned into a shadow and put into Santa's toy sack, which we learned in the previous video. Okay, so of course I found kind of like a creepy Santa letter game, if you will. It's called the Midnight Manuscript. It says, at the stroke of midnight, while you're in complete darkness, aside from one candle, use a feather quill dipped in midnight black ink to craft your letter to Santa. It says, allow the shadows to guide your words, and make a list of all the things that you would like in 2024. And after completing this letter, recite this poem for Santa to hear. At midnight stroke, the quill takes flight. In shadows deep, I scribe my plight. Symbols cryptic, ink of night. A letter sent, a spectral rite. Whispers echo in moonlight haze. A pact with Claus, mysterious ways. Frost-kissed dreams, the veil now thinned. In winter's embrace, a game begins. This part is actually really strange. It says, place the letter in a forgotten place in your house where you wouldn't usually put things, and then retrieve it in the morning to see if you got a response from Santa. Or Santa, because it might be one of those like creepy entities that like interject your writing to Santa. And there's actually a warning that comes with this. It says, the days following writing your letter may bring vivid dreams of snow-covered landscapes and spectral figures. These dreams are considered a sign that the veil between magical worlds has thinned. Now, I was really curious about what sort of creepy letters some people have received back, and I was able to find one, so I'm gonna read it to you guys. It says, Dear Samantha, greetings from the North Pole. I got your letter, the one written in that mysterious ink. Interesting choice. Your wishes are noted and things are in motion. The workshop has been a bit different since your message arrived. The elves seem to be working with a newfound energy, and the toys are taking on a peculiar twist. Be prepared for surprises, maybe even a bit odd. Your request for something special is being processed. Just remember, sometimes the best gifts come in unexpected packages. Keep an eye out for the unusual. Winter nights can be quite peculiar, don't you think? I'll be keeping an eye on you, and who knows, you might catch a glimpse of something you weren't expecting. Best, Santa Claus. This is so creepy to me, and if I was Samantha, I would be afraid of what presents might appear under the tree. Imagine like finishing off opening gifts with your family, and then they spot one last present at the very back of the tree, and it's the one that Santa said would be very peculiar, a peculiar twist, unusual, a surprise. Is that a good thing or bad thing? We don't know. Over the centuries, the story of Santa has been evolving, and his toy bag has become an iconic symbol that we all associate with him to this day. The first written description of his bag was in a poem in 1823 that I'm sure we all know. It's called The Night Before Christmas. St. Nicholas was described as a jolly, rotund figure with a sleigh full of toys, including a magical sack that he used to deliver presents. And then in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, illustrations in books and advertisements often depicted Santa with a large, overflowing sack of toys slung over his shoulder. And Santa's toy bag has evolved into a powerful symbol of generosity and the joy of gift giving during the holiday season. So all of that sounds joyful and wonderful, right? There's gonna be more soon. First, let's get into the magical properties of this bag. These are things I never really knew. I knew some, I had an inkling, but some of these really did shock me. The most enchanting aspect of Santa's toy bag is its seemingly infinite capacity. No matter how many gifts are placed inside, it never appears to fill up or become too heavy for Santa to carry. And this is what allows Santa to go all across the world delivering presents all night long without running out. When I was a kid, and I saw the size of his bag, I was like, how is he gonna get everywhere across the world? I don't understand that. Well, it's magical. I should have known. Legend has it that Santa's toy bag is enchanted with dimensional magic. It exists in a space that defies the normal laws of physics, allowing it to contain an ever-expanding assortment of toys and gifts without the constraints of physical size or weight. So it basically leads into this like other dimension where he can hold his endless toys, which is pretty crazy. It also has the ability to magically replenish itself. So like I said, as Santa's going along in his sleigh, as it decreases, it magically fills up again. Santa's toy bag is said to be attuned to the wishes and desires of each child. Through magical means, it somehow knows exactly what gift will bring joy to every recipient. And to ensure Santa has enough time to deliver gifts to every child on Christmas Eve, some legends suggest that Santa's toy bag has time-bending properties. It allows him to move swiftly and efficiently, transcending the normal constraints of time. It is also said to have a mystical connection with the elves in his workshop. Through this magical link, the bag receives constant updates on the production of toys to ensure that the right gifts are placed inside for each child. It's also said to have this magical kind of shield around it so that Santa's the only one who can go into it and grab toys. If anyone comes close, they're not able to access the contents. And if a toy happens to break or malfunction after being delivered, the magical properties of Santa's toy bag are said to enable instant repairs. So those things also sound very magical and wonderful. It makes Santa sound super awesome, which he is. But I was able to find a pretty creepy creepypasta about his toy bag, which I wish I could unread, okay? Because it takes that magic and it goes and makes it scary. So here's how this tale goes. This story is about a group of friends that stumbled upon a sinister secret. In a quaint little antique shop nestled between forgotten trinkets and dusty relics, the friends discovered an old leather bag. And the shopkeeper who was there, who had this sort of crooked, mysterious smile, he claimed it was once Santa's actual toy bag, lost and forgotten in the shadows of Christmas past. And because of their curiosity and intrigue for the item, the friends pooled their money and purchased this mysterious bag. Little did they know that it harbored a malevolent force. As the clock struck midnight, the friends gathered in the dimly lit room and decided to open Santa's toy bag to see if it held the magic of the season within its worn, weathered leather. And to their surprise, this toy bag seemed endless bottomless, revealing all these toys of different shapes and sizes. But then they noticed something peculiar about the toys. Each one bore a subtle, sinister twist: dolls with vacant, haunting eyes, wind-up soldiers that moved with an eerie precision, and teddy bears that seemed to emit a low, unnerving hum. The friends exchanged uneasy glances, but their unease turned to dread when they found a peculiar note buried within the bag, and it read, "Once you've taken, you can't undo. The price of magic, known to few. These toys, though festive, bear a curse, a darkness that will only disperse." And as the realization of their predicament sank in, the room became colder and the toys seemed to shift with a malevolent intent. And the friends, who were now obviously freaking out, very terrified, started trying to put all the toys back in the bag, but it was as though the bag resisted, eager to share this curse, so they weren't able to put them back inside, which is terrifying. All through the night they tried to figure out how to break the curse that now seemed intertwined with their lives, but they were unsuccessful. And as the first light of Christmas morning painted the sky, the friends found themselves standing before the antique shop, the bag now empty, but their lives forever changed. The shopkeeper came out, his crooked smile now even more sinister in the morning light. He appeared at the doorway, whispering cryptic words about the nature of magic and the price one pays for meddling with the unknown. So yeah, these group of friends have a curse on them forevermore. So I guess that's the other scary thing about Santa's toy bag. Now, I did find this kind of creepy warning, very sinister. It's called Step Into the Toy Bag. It says, there's a legend that if you step into a red toy bag after the sun goes down on a snowy winter night, you'll find yourself falling into a portal. To where? No one really knows. So because I'm crazy, I literally bought Santa's toy bag. It's ginormous and it's on its way. So we'll do that on the vlog channel. There's also a dark legend suggesting that Santa's toy bag isn't just filled with gifts, but also collects the shadows of those on the naughty list. These shadows are said to be imprisoned within the bag until the following Christmas, adding an unsettling twist to the consequences of misbehavior. So yeah, Santa's toy bag. I never would have thought so deeply about that. Let's start off with the Jingle Bells origins. Like I said, Jingle Bells is said to be the most well-known Christmas carol in the world, and it was written in the autumn of 1857, and it was originally meant to be a Thanksgiving song, which definitely surprises me, and it was first titled One Horse Open Sleigh. Something I find very interesting is that Jingle Bells became the very first song to be broadcast from space on December 16th of 1965, and the astronauts also sent this message to Mission Control. It says, "We have an object, looks like a satellite going from north to south, probably in polar orbit. I see a command module and 8 smaller modules in front. The pilot of the command module is wearing a red suit." So they were clearly hinting that they saw Santa using, astronaut space terms, and I just find that really, really cool. Okay, so we're just gonna jump right into it and talk about something called the Jingle Bell incident. In the small town of Frostbrook, there was an eerie Christmas Eve tradition that locals whispered about behind closed doors. And as the clock struck midnight, a mysterious figure would suddenly appear in the town square, armed with an old jingling bell. The townspeople would gather around this figure to witness a haunting rendition of Jingle Bells. And with every ring of the bell, the temperature went down a degree, gradually getting colder and colder. And as this song played for everyone to hear, faces of long-gone residents materialized in the icy air before them, their expressions revealing tales of joy, sorrow, and for some, unfinished business. Some townspeople even claimed to hear the anguished cries of the departed trapped between the notes of the haunting tune. So they were just all standing in this circle, absolutely hypnotized by this figure and Jingle Bells. It was like for those 3 minutes that it played, the ghosts of the fallen were able to join them for that experience, which is so haunting and creepy. It reminds me of the story of Scrooge, the ghost of Christmas past, present, and future. And as the final jingle faded away, the mysterious figure vanishes into the night, leaving the bewildered townspeople terrified and confused. Whispers of the the Jingle Bells incident spread like wildfire, cautioning newcomers to steer clear of the unsettling Christmas Eve tradition in Frostbrook. And I did find a warning that says to never go outside in the middle of winter, in the middle of the night, to ring jingle bells while you sing the song. Apparently you will see ghostly figures in the distance of people who died in the area. So like you're literally going out with your bells in the middle of winter and just like jingling for the ghosts to like appear, which is creepy, and I might try it. And of course I found another creepy story about jingle bells, and this one is called the Jingle Bells poem. It was a winter's night, colder and darker than any other, and a group of friends gathered in an old creaky cabin nestled deep within the woods with the wind howling outside. And as the night wore on, the friends were trying to find a way to entertain themselves. One of them, named Sarah, known for her fascination with the supernatural, revealed an ancient book she claimed to have discovered in the cabin's attic. The pages were fragile, filled with bizarre illustrations and cryptic verses, and among those unsettling passages was a poem tied to the forbidden secrets of Jingle Bells. With a sly grin, Sarah insisted they recite the poem together, promising an unforgettable experience. So her friends were both excited but scared to do this, but they gathered around as she began to read the poem, and here's how the poem goes. In the dead of night, when shadows roam beneath the moon's pale ghostly dome, sing the song that secrets tell, unlock the realm of jingle bells. Jingling echoes through the air, a twisted melody, a ghostly affair. In the dark the spirits dwell, awakened by the jingle bells. But beware, dear friends, of what you find, for once the portal is unlined, a sinister presence in darkness dwells, bound to the haunting jingle bells. Should you wish to heed this call, sing the song within these walls, but escape the grasp of the spectral spells, or forever be bound to jingle bells. And as her last words echoed through the cabin, an unsettling stillness covered the room. The friends all looked at each other completely uneasy, wondering what they just unlocked in their cabin. The air seemed to thicken with an otherworldly presence, and a distant jingling rang in their ears. Suddenly the cabin's temperature dropped, and the flickering candlelight cast ghastly shadows on the walls. And the friends, who were now terrified, felt this pulsating happening in the room, and the jingling intensified, resonating through the cabin like a spectral choir. They saw all these shadows filling the cabin, reaching for them, and the poem's verses echoed in their minds, haunting them as they fled the cabin. And years later, those who survived that fateful night still speak in hushed tones of the Jingle Bells poem. They warn others not to recite its verses, for the spirits awakened by the twisted melody continue to linger, waiting for the next unsuspecting soul to become entwined in the haunting world of Jingle Bells. I just recited it. I am very scared. I'm like looking around, making sure everything's okay. Don't worry, you guys are safe because you didn't actually say it, and you're also not actually in the room with me, so I'm the only one in danger. I'm really scared. Okay, so let's get into the Mrs. Claus origins. Like I said, when we think about Christmas and talk about Christmas, it's mostly only about Santa Claus and presents. Santa is definitely on every kid's mind, and Mrs. Claus is not often remembered. I feel like we barely know anything about her, other than the fact that she stays at the North Pole in her little apron and cute hat, possibly making cookies for Santa and helping him get ready for his Christmas travels. Actually, the first ever mention of Mrs. Claus in our history is from a short story that was created in 1849, and then over the next few decades she began being often depicted with him in a lot of illustrations and books and movies. She's just like Santa's silent companion and supporter. She's usually portrayed as a warm maternal figure, but what if I told you that there's legends about her that aren't quite like that, and she has more power than we even realize. So let's get into those supernatural facts. The first one is her supernatural longevity. Legend has it that Mrs. Claus possesses an uncanny longevity, having lived for centuries. Some say she's not entirely human, and that her ageless existence allows her to witness generations of Santas come and go, watching over the North Pole through the ages. So she's just like permanently at an older age, but she lives forever at that age and watches all the different Santas come and go. I thought there was only one. one, but I guess there's tons and she's seen them all. Then we have her midnight sleigh rides. Whispers circulate about Mrs. Claus taking solitary sleigh rides in the dead of night long after Christmas has passed. The eerie jingling of the bells and the silhouette of her sleigh against the moonlit snow add a mysterious quality to these midnight escapades. Let me just tell you, doing research for this video was so eerie. Just thinking about this old lady in the woods just like on a midnight sleigh ride. Excuse me? Then we have her enchanted confections. Mrs. Claus is rumored to bake cookies with ingredients from a secret enchanted pantry. These cookies allegedly hold magical properties, causing those who indulge to experience vivid dreams or even catch glimpses of possible futures. The price of such magical treats, however, remains unknown. Then we have her eternal vigilance. Mrs. Claus is said to have a watchful eye over the naughty and nice list, not just during the holiday season, but year-round. And the idea of her silently observing and noting behavior adds an element of perpetual judgment and accountability. So you know how Santa is supposed to watch you all year round? Apparently she does too. Apparently she knows everything you do. Then we have her mysterious workshop. While Santa's workshop is widely known, rumors persist of Mrs. Claus having her own secluded workshop hidden away from prying eyes. What she creates there is a topic of speculation. Some suggest she creates toys of a more mysterious nature. Then we have her Ice Queen ancestry, which go off, queen. Rumors swirl around Mrs. Claus having ties to an ancient line of ice queens, beings with powers over frost and snow. Some say she can summon blizzards at will, and her icy gaze can chill even the warmest hearts. Then we have a creepy fact, again, the fact that she has no reflection. Step into Mrs. Claus's quarters and you might notice something unsettling. There are no mirrors. Legend has it that she casts no reflection, a sign of connection to the supernatural. Is she a vampire, a ghost, or something else entirely? This answer remains a chilling mystery. We don't know why she has no reflection. So, this one, midnight caroling. While Santa is busy delivering gifts, Mrs. Claus reportedly roams the silent streets on Christmas Eve, singing haunting carols that echo through the darkness. The lyrics are said to have a mesmerizing, hypnotic quality, leaving those who hear them in an eerie trance. So she also hypnotizes people with Christmas carols. And then we have her frozen garden. Deep within the North Pole, Mrs. Claus tends to a garden of enchanted ice roses. These spectral blooms are said to hold the power to reveal the deepest fears and desires of anyone who gazes upon them. The garden is a forbidden realm, and only those with a brave heart dare to enter. What is wrong with this woman? I did not know any of these things, and now I am terrified because she looks like a nice little old lady, but deep down, she's hiding some serious secrets. Of course, I found a Mrs. Claus gift game, and here's how the rules go for that. Make sure you're in a room with a Christmas tree and the rest of the lights in your house are out. This must be done before Christmas, anytime in December, so you can choose as long as it's before the 25th. Make sure there is an empty stocking somewhere nearby. Step right up to the tree and whisper a wish and a hidden fear for the upcoming year. Mrs. Claus likes to be told secrets, and that's how you get her attention. Then write her a riddle on a small piece of paper and place it in the stocking, because she likes games as well. You'll hear a ghostly giggle if she's decided to appear, although you won't see her, and you'll know she came by because there will be something waiting for you in your stocking and your riddle will be answered. Of course, I'm gonna try this on the vlog channel, of course. So we're gonna see what happens. I am very, very scared. So I first wanted to start with some really crazy winter phenomenons before we get into the red snowflake. These are things that actually happen in the world. They're so intriguing to me. First, we have light pillars, which are pastel colored and they're floating eerily off the ground. And these columns of light have often been mistaken for UFOs. Those who catch sight of them on a freezing winter night are often awed by their beauty, which seems like the work of aliens or some otherworldly power. There is a scientific scientific explanation as always. During very cold, windless nights, flat ice crystals from high altitudes can form closer to the ground and reflect the street lights from cities and the ground lights from cars, and this creates that haunting alien-like appearance, and it usually reflects whatever color item the light is bouncing off of, and that's why it's like super colorful and cool. I would love to see this in person. Then we have something called penitents, which I'm definitely not saying correctly. These strange formations of snow resemble lethal patches of spikes. In fact, some of them can reach much higher than a person's shoulder, up to 20 feet tall. It can be startling to see these claw-like blades rising from the ground like hooded figures. And apparently these are just formed from hardened snow or ice at altitudes above 4,000 meters. And just over time, these really crazy spikes are formed. We've got ice balls. In a remote village of Siberia in 2016, the residents were greeted with an odd assortment of objects that seemed to have been washed ashore from the inner reaches of the sea. And these ice balls stretched 11 miles. Most of them were 3 feet in diameter, so they were pretty big. And they're basically like a slushy mixture of ice crystals and water that are just formed from like really rough waves mixed with strong winds. I mean, these would be also really crazy to see in real life. You can make like endless frosties, you know, snowmen everywhere. We have something called thunder snow, an awe-inducing word that is exactly what it sounds like. Thunder snow is a phenomenon that occurs when thunder and lightning happen during a snowstorm. Now, the conditions have to be just right for this to occur, and I believe last year my sister and I both heard thunder snow, which is really, really crazy. Then we have pancake ice, which is these strange frozen lily pads that dot rivers, covering the water with circles of up to 3 meters across. They look like frisbees or pizzas, but they're made up of ice. And it's when slush accumulates on top of the water's surface, and then like they kind of bump together and make these round lily pad looking things. Super weird. Okay, so let's get into this red snowflake legend. This story is called The Legend of Everwood. There's a legend from the 1700s about a village called Everwood. It was nestled deep in the forest and consisted of only 100 people. And every year when they got their first snowfall, they looked outside their windows and into the sky, dreading what was coming next. They knew that as soon as they saw a single red snowflake fall to the ground, something evil would grace their town. Do you know how hard it would be to keep an eye out for one single red snowflake? It would have to be like all eyes on deck, looking in every single direction constantly. They must have had someone like standing on a rooftop, keep an eye out to call when they saw one. For some reason though, the red snowflake usually appeared at nightfall, and it almost had a glow to it as it fluttered to the ground. And as soon as it was in your sights, you had to run into your house, shut your curtains, close your doors, lock every single entryway, and you had to go hide in the darkest room of your house. They couldn't come out of their house until morning, and apparently while they are hiding, they will hear strange noises outside, and this otherworldly chill will fill their houses, and not even blankets will keep them warm or fire. They will be cold all through the night. It is said that while the town is empty and people are hiding away in their houses, a hooded entity will walk the streets, leaving a trail of red snow behind it. And if you didn't hide on time and it spots you with its hollow eyes, it will place a curse on you and your family that you will have to deal with for the rest of your life. And the next day, all that is left is these streaks of red snow, showing exactly the path of where this entity was roaming. You can even see whose doors and windows it walked up to, which is so creepy. I'm definitely glad that this is only a legend. Or at least I hope so. And of course, I was able to find a creepy red snowflake game, and here are the rules. Either craft a red snowflake ornament or find a red object. This will serve as your red snowflake beacon. And then you have to go outside and place it in your chosen spot in the snow. Wait until midnight to begin the game. The silence of a winter's night will amplify the paranormal atmosphere. So you have to stand right near your red snowflake beacon and close your eyes and listen for any unusual sounds or whispers around you, and then walk in a slow circle around your red beacon. Then imagine your connection with the winter weather, feel the cold on your face, then visualize the lone red snowflake descending from the sky, carrying an otherworldly energy. If you truly believe, you can open your eyes and the red snowflake will fall right before you and land right beside your red beacon. And if you do not see one, you must draw a snowflake pattern pattern around your beacon with your foot, which apparently will close off the game. So this sounds interesting. Obviously, I want to try it on the vlog channel. There's no rules as to when you have to do it. Just make sure it's winter, make sure it's midnight. So I think this sounds pretty easy. Also really creepy. Okay, so let's get into this video talking about the Yule Man. Now this is an SCP creature and the actual code for this is SCP-4666. This creature is said to be an exceptionally long-lived humanoid entity of unknown origin. He's known to be a very tall, elderly male of European descent with an extremely emaciated appearance. Now these reports say he's about 7.5 feet tall, which is insane to me. And this entity always appears completely naked, even when observed outside in freezing cold weather. So like you'll look out your window and see a super tall, skinny man out there naked in the snow, like in the middle of a snowstorm, and he's just fine out there. What's unsettling is that he's capable of instantaneous travel to any location in the world, but the activity of this creature occurs exclusively within a period of 12 consecutive nights every year. And this is from the night of December 21st to the night of January 1st, and this is known as his active phase. During this time, he appears at dwellings in one or multiple locations, and these houses all have to have the following characteristics. It has to be an isolated rural location. It has to be home to a family with at least one child under the age of 8, and it has to be situated in an area with snow cover lasting throughout the duration of the event. Now, as soon as I said these rules to you guys, I'm sure many of you just took a huge sigh of relief, because if those 3 things don't apply to you, you're safe. Comment the snowflake emoji if you're safe, and comment the crying emoji if you live in a house with a child under 8, if your house has a large property and isn't in a neighborhood, and if you get snow every single year around Christmas time. I have all of those things except the children under 8, so I think I'm safe. Unless my dogs count. And if that's the case, I'm in trouble. Now, this is a possible photograph of SCP-4666, which was apparently recovered from a cell phone. You can see him just standing out there in the snow, super eerie. And this is apparently a fingerprint belonging to SCP-4666, and you should note the unique double whorl pattern. So let's talk about what exactly happens between nights 1 to 12 of when the Yule Man comes to your house. So let's start with night 1 to 7. Children will report seeing him in the vicinity of their family's dwelling. The entity will typically be observed watching the house from a distance, such as across a nearby field or from the edge of a neighboring forest. And in some cases, children will report waking up at night to find him watching them sleep through a window. That is absolutely terrifying, especially when you're living out sort of in the country, away from other houses. Seeing something like that would just be, I can't even imagine, honestly. Okay, and then things get worse, of course. Here is night 8 to 11. Family members, including the parents, will report sounds of footsteps coming from the roof or the attic, and an extremely unpleasant odor will also frequently be noticed inside of the dwelling. And no cause for this phenomenon can be found. Like, the parents will try and find out why their house smells, and there's just no indicators. And as a result, parents will often begin to suspect that maybe their house is haunted. Like, maybe there's some weird spirit activity going on. Some people even think they're starting to be stalked by like a real person and not obviously an SCP entity. And then we have night 12, which is obviously the worst. And apparently one of 2 things can happen to you. One is very bad and the other is definitely an option that you want. The first and most common is that he will kill all members of the family except for one child under the age of 8 whom it will abduct. So it will attack your whole family, but it will take the smallest child. And then we have the second scenario, which occurs in less than 15% of cases, so this one is a lot more rare. He will not harm your family. Family members will report hearing footsteps inside their dwelling during the night, though no signs of forced entry will be found. And in the morning, children will discover presents at the foot of their beds, and these will consist of toys crafted from the remains of missing children. which is obviously absolutely disgusting. Now, I was able to find a log of these events occurring throughout history. So for example, we have a case that was in Croatia in 1498. And in this case, the family died, but 2 children were abducted. And the people who oversaw this investigation just thought it was something evil done by witches, because back then they just blamed everything on witches. Then we have a case that occurred in Ontario in 1689, which is where I live, so a little scary. The family died except for 2 children again. One of the kids escaped and ran to the closest village and told authorities that a naked man broke into their house during the night and proceeded to torture their parents. And then when police arrived at the house, they found that the parents were hanging upside down from the roof. Okay, then we have a case from Germany in 1913. The entire family died except for a 3-year-old child who was abducted. And when the police arrived, they found that all of the deceased family members had their tongues removed. And branches cut from a fir tree outside the house had also been placed all over the bodies for some reason. And neighbors told authorities that the week prior to their attack, the father of the family had mentioned finding tracks in the snow around the family's dwelling, which appeared to have been made by human feet, which is obviously the SCP. Then we have a case from Norway in 1971. The family died and they were found in a horrific way in the basement. Iceland, 1996. The family was attacked and all of their heads were placed on the staircase when the police arrived. Now, what's creepy is that some people think that the reason why he keeps the youngest children is so that he could turn them into dolls. And I want to know why that happens every single time. Why is that in like every single scary story? Why are things turning kids into dolls? It needs to stop. So make sure you look in the snow around your house on December 21st, because even if your house doesn't meet his requirements, you still may see his footsteps circling your house as he looks in the windows to check. Absolutely horrifying. Absolutely. You bet on December 21st, I'm gonna be looking around my house to make sure he hasn't come there. Maybe we'll do a vlog on it. So the first level is level 1225, which is called Picturesque Christmas Forest. This level is a sprawling, presumably infinite snow-covered temperate forest that is kept in perpetual twilight and at an unchanging temperature of -1 degree Celsius. The forest is a mix of deciduous and conifer trees, but most notably small, juvenile spruce trees that are decorated with Christmas lights of various colors that range from simple white yellow to rainbow. These Christmas trees are indestructible and are found sporadically throughout the level at an average of 15 trees per square kilometer. What I find so creepy about this level is that a constant track of 4 different Christmas carols are constantly playing, and those specific songs are Silver Bells, Silent Night, Jingle Bells, and Rocking Around the Christmas Tree. These songs play faintly across the level but get noticeably higher in volume when in close proximity to the Christmas trees. So if you're just wandering through this snowy landscape and you're far away from those decorated tree lights, it's gonna be kind of like a muffled, far-off sound, almost like you're hearing the song from a different room. But the closer you get to these decorated trees, the louder it becomes. It's on like full blast volume. And approximately 1 in 3 of the festive conifer trees have brightly wrapped Christmas presents beneath them. And these gifts can vary in both size and shape, as well as what each one contains. Apparently, these gifts contain things like almond water, soda, popcorn, chips, hard candy, soup, hot chocolate, all the things that you need, right? And what's also cool is that if you open a present, it regenerates in 12 hours. So all the gifts like refill again. It's almost like you can live in this level forever because you have food, water. I mean, if I was gonna live in one level of the back rooms, I want it to be a Christmas one. So I'm gonna take this one over. So let's talk about something on this level that happens that is called Silent Night. While peaceful and safe to explore for the most part, this level momentarily becomes a dangerous place once every 12 hours. So there's this half-an-hour period called the Silent Night, like I said, where all of the Christmas tree lights will abruptly turn off. Everything will be shrouded in darkness. Even those ambient carols will just stop. So no music, no lights. The forest becomes a dark, silent place except for faint faint whispering as a dense fog begins to flood the level. If a wanderer finds themselves exposed to the fog, they will see visions of loved ones telling them to come along with them, and usually compelled to do so. Wanderers who accept this invitation will vanish, never ever to be seen again. The effects of the fog are avoidable, however, if one remains within 6 feet of a Christmas tree. And then once this half an hour of silent night ends, all the Christmas tree lights turn back on, the music resumes, everything goes back to normal. Now there's this place on the level called Frosty's Tavern. It's a restaurant nearby the spawn point that was built to heavily resemble contemporary casual dining eateries such as Ruby Tuesdays or Applebee's. This place is run by 10 staff members, and it offers a variety of dishes like buffalo wings, soups, salads, warm drinks like hot chocolate, apple cider, basically anything you can find at a diner in the real world. And it's actually constructed around one of the Christmas trees. So when the silent night occurs, all the staff members there are safe. If you're eating in there, you're safe. It's kind of like the best safe point to be at. You have food, you have drinks, you have everything you need. And it kind of gives wanderers a break before they go and continue to explore the level. I don't know, this level just sounds wonderful to me, except for that one half an hour of scariness. But honestly, I would want to be here. Then there's another level, it's level 1055, called A Snowy Trip. This level is presumably infinite snowy roads that are blocked by a large amount of trees on each side. This level is quite cold since it is storming here all the time, so you better bring some warm clothes with you before you enter this level. You will enter this level in a car no matter what, and apparently getting out of the car is extremely dangerous because the outside air is so cold. And the air also has this weird chemical in it that will turn you into the frosted one if you're out there for up to 2 hours. During your trip, you can spot some houses varying from old to modern. Almost all of them have beds, pillows, food, wardrobes. And what's strange is that the inside of the houses have normal air. So if you're able to get to a house, you're safe. But if you're outside at any point, this chemical can turn you into a frosted one. So the entities on this level are wanderers who have turned into these frost creatures. So they were humans and now they are these icy humanoid creatures that have these glowing eyes and a mouth that will infect you if they get to you. So here are the symptoms of becoming a frosted one. So in the first 30 minutes, you won't notice anything. You won't have any symptoms, you won't feel any different. But apparently at the second stage, blue cracks will start forming all over your skin and your body. And apparently this happens after 30 minutes. So at the 31-minute point, you will start to get cracks on your skin. At the third stage, your blood starts to glow and you start to feel this enormous pain. And this stage starts at 1 hour and 11 minutes. So it's very, very specific. And it says that at the fourth stage, nothing can save you. Your body turns to ice, it deforms, it becomes this frosted one. And all of the entities won't touch you if you enter this fourth stage because you become one of them. And the fifth stage is you being like full formed frosted one, like it's done. So yeah, this world is also really creepy to me. I feel like we all have those memories like sitting in the back seat of our parents' car, like looking out as the snow's falling, you're driving home from like Christmas or like one of your family's houses. Like this is what this level seems like to me. Like you're in the backseat of a car looking out into the dark snowy landscape, and if you leave that car, things are not good for you. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video of like the Christmassy back rooms. If you want me to cover any more Christmas levels, definitely comment them down below. Today, I have a creepy Christmas tree story for you today. I feel like if I'm gonna do creepypastas and creepy stories, I might as well try and make it Christmas themed or find ones that are like winter or just Christmas would be better, which is why today is a Christmas one. And I don't want to pick things that are gonna like ruin Christmas. Did I almost say Christmas? Oh man, it's been a long day already, guys. Anyways, like I was saying, I don't want to ruin Christmas for you guys. So it's never gonna be anything like super intense to give you nightmares or not like Christmas anymore. Don't worry, I'm gonna choose things that are obviously like fake. You know what I mean? They're obviously fake. But they still might creep you out, which is kind of... what is wrong with my voice today? Why can't I speak? They might creep you out. They might creep you out. This story kind of has two different parts to it. The first part is what is in the title of this video, and the second part is a really creepy Christmas tree story that I found online. So the reason why this title is called Never Keep Your Christmas Tree On Past Midnight is because it's something that always freaked me out since I was a kid. And I know I've made so many story times about different like urban legends and things people told me that freaked me out as a kid, and that's because there were so many. Like for some reason, and I don't know if it was just the school I went to as a kid, but rumors spread so fast, and it was like every week there was a different thing people were freaked out about, or a different urban legend people were talking about. It was just, there was constant things being thrown around my classroom that just stuck with me. I feel like it didn't stick with anybody else but me. But this wasn't something I was told in class. In fact, remember those, were they called chain mail? They were like emails that kids used to get either on like MSN or just like to your actual email that said like, if you don't forward this to 10 people, Sally the dead girl's gonna come after you. You know those types of emails? Those used to freak me out so much, and I used to tell my friends at school, like, if you get one of those, please don't forward it to me. It scares me, they're not real, I don't want to see them, they keep me up at night, please don't forward me those chain emails. But my friends would be like, no Jessie, like if I don't email it to you, like Sally's gonna come after me, like I have to forward it to 10 friends. And I was like, well, can I not be one of those 10 friends, please? Like, do you guys remember those? I feel like if you're younger watching this, I don't think those are a thing anymore. I think like if you're, you know, in your teenage years or even my age or older, you will remember those because they were so popular back when I was in elementary school. And I remember getting this one email around Christmas, and it was from the friend that I told not to send me chainmail emails, but she was like so into that stuff. Like, I don't know about you guys, did you ever forward them? Like, okay, I want to know from you guys, comment down below. When you got those chain emails, did you forward them to your friends and family, or did you just leave them and be like, no, those are fake? Because I would never forward them. I literally would read it, be scared out of my wits, and then not forward them, because deep down I knew they were fake, and I also didn't want to spread bad luck to other people. Like, I was that kind of person, you know what I mean? I feel like my necklace is choking me. Should I take it off? I need to take it off. It's choking me! Okay, excuse me, it's like a snake, go away. Please. Okay, that's so much better, I can breathe, wow. Taking that air, Jess. So anyways, I was told in this email that if you don't have your Christmas tree set to go off at midnight, or if you don't physically turn it off at midnight, these evil elves were gonna come down your chimney and steal all of your presents. And as a kid, you're like, no, I wanna keep all my presents. But at the very bottom, it was like,
but if you forward this to 25 people, you don't have to worry about it, and the elves won't come, and you can keep your Christmas tree on as long as you want.
But if you don't forward this to 25 people, you better turn your Christmas tree off by midnight.
And so first of all, I was reading it and I was like, okay, I don't have 25 friends to send this to. But then as I said on the other side, I was like, okay, that's not gonna happen. But like deep down, I was like, but what if it does? And I will admit, I think for the first couple weeks after reading that, I actually would go down in the middle of the night and turn off the Christmas tree. My parents don't know this. Like if they're watching this now, they're gonna be like, oh, so that's why it was off in the morning. I mean, I feel like most people probably turn it off during the nighttime. I mean, I know that I do anyways. Like I have my Christmas tree on here, and it's not because of the chainmail I turn it off. Like I just turn it off to conserve electricity. Preserve? Conserve? Words. But I do have friends, and I know a lot of people who just keep it on throughout the entire night. And it's like a setting where once the sun comes up, like all of the lights turn off, you know? But for a while as a kid, when midnight came, I was like, I have to be downstairs when my parents are sleeping, and I have to turn off the tree. But kids, if you're watching chainmail, or like the retweets, like retweet this or your life will be over, like those aren't real. They're obviously not real, but I do believe they still freak people out. But comment down below what's the creepiest chainmail email you've ever gotten. Anyways though, the reason why I thought of that chainmail email from way back was because the other morning, so I'm on medication right now, and every morning at 7 a.m. I have to walk downstairs and take my medication, and I don't know if it's just here in Canada, Ontario, Canada, but at 7 a.m. it's still pitch black outside. Like it's darker than midnight almost here. I just heard a huge smash in my house somewhere. Hold on. Okay. My sister's just home, it's fine. What was I saying? Oh, so I was downstairs taking my medication. I'm standing in the kitchen, and basically if you're standing in the kitchen, you can see all the way over to the living room where the Christmas tree is, and in the morning it's pitch black in there. I don't turn on any lights in there. The only light I have on is my kitchen light. So I was like looking over into my living room, and the Christmas tree, like, I don't want to freak you guys out, but at night and the lights are off on the Christmas tree, it looks like this huge figure in the corner of the room, and it looks really freaky. And like, You know when you're already freaked out and your mind plays tricks on you? I literally thought for a split second that I saw like someone's head peering out from behind the Christmas tree, and I actually jumped. Like, you know when your heart skips a beat when you think you saw something scary? That actually happened, and I'm like, let me take my medication as fast as possible. And then I ran upstairs, and for some reason I just remembered that chainmail email. But like I said, it's not real. Don't have Christmas be ruined because you think it's real. It's not real. Anyways, I came across this really creepy Christmas tree story online. I'm gonna read it to you guys, and the author is Glow Trains. It's on Reddit, and I'm gonna put the link to the whole story down below in the description. I'm not gonna read every single paragraph because that would take quite a long time, but if you want to read the whole story, I will link it down below. Okay, it says, I had to burp. Hold on. If I hit my back, will it come out? So gross. Oh, it's just sitting there. You know when a burp is just sitting there and like you can't get it up and it's just there? It's just hanging out like right here. Like it's right here. Anyways, so it says, most people these days have artificial trees, but my family has always bought real trees every year. It's a pain to clean up the needles, but you just can't beat that nostalgic Christmas pine scent. And it's cool how there's no such thing as the perfect tree. Each one is unique and different in its own way. But the one that we brought home last year was a little more unique than most. I've actually never had a real Christmas tree in my house, and I've always wanted one since I was a kid because I love the smell of them. Like, I have a fake Christmas tree downstairs right now, and I put those little fake pine smelling scent things in the tree so it smells real, but it's not. Don't let it fool you. Anyways, it says, when my dad brought it inside, nothing really seemed weird about it at all. It was just your average live balsam fir tree, green needles, 6.5 feet, trunk sawed off and ready to be put on display. And no, it wasn't until a little later that things started to get freaky. One of the secret tips of putting up a natural Christmas tree is to let it sit for a few days before you decorate it. You have to give it some time for the branches to spread out. That's what my dad would always say. So it wasn't until 4 days after we put our new Christmas tree in its stand that we gathered around as a family to add the decorations. And that's when we noticed the growths. On every other branch hung these small lumps, for lack of a better word. They were brown and dry, and none of them really had any defining features, but they were all unique shapes. I looked at my dad, and he was just as creeped out as I was. It was pretty freaky, but we went ahead and strung up our decorations anyway, but I shuddered every time my hand accidentally brushed one of them. Ugh, that sounds so gross. Like, whenever I read these stories, I always picture it in my head, and I'm just thinking of this beautiful natural tree, but the very end of each branch has this disgusting like lump on it. Like, excuse me, is it diseased? Over time, the growth started to change shape. We all had our own ideas of what they were. My mom thought that maybe they were an odd kind of fruit. My dad thought that they were deformities in the wood of the branches, and I thought maybe some parasitic insect had infested the tree, which meant none of us were prepared when we noticed the largest growth was starting to look exactly like a tiny rib bone. It sounds crazy to say now, but even though our Christmas tree was growing weird bone-like protrusions, we all just sort of chose not to talk about it. Oh my gosh, if my Christmas tree started growing bones out of the end of each branch, especially because it's fake, imagine a fake Christmas tree growing bones, I'd bring it back and be like, okay, like, Fred, why did you sell this to me? Oh my gosh, that's so gross. For a whole month, we pretended that everything was fine. Wow, this family's really chill. Maybe we thought that if we didn't bring attention to it, they'd go away and we'd be left with a normal tree. Unfortunately, things don't work that way. We couldn't ignore it forever though. Each growth started to grow into some kind of macabre skeleton part. And by Christmas Day, none of us wanted to go anywhere near it. I could never bring myself to really look at it, but every now and then I would catch glimpses of it in my peripheral vision. Part of a skull here and a vertebrae there. They were distinctly bone-shaped, but none of them were human. From my quick glances, I easily noticed bird beaks and possum skulls, so they're growing animal parts at the end of the branches. That is so bizarre. My dad would not leave that in our house. Like, as stubborn as he is as leaving things be when he buys them, he would have that thing out of there so fast. The breaking point was when some of the growths started to fuse together. They had a warped alien quality to them. The growths were evolving. It was past time to get the tree out of our home. I think so. You probably should have got rid of it a long time ago. On Christmas Day, we gathered around the horrifying tree and fully looked at it for the first time. It was a mess of bones, tree branches, and our pitiful attempt at decorations. With a decisive breath, my mom bent to the floor to take it out of the tree stand. She yelped and jumped back like she had just been burned. Oh my gosh, Eric, the floor, she stammered, frozen in shock, and my dad stooped down to take a look. His eyes locked to the base base of the trunk, and I crouched down to the floor to take a look. The tree had grown into the floor. The wood had engulfed the plastic tree stand and rooted itself straight into the floor of our house. There weren't any roots, just floor and tree trunk fused together as if they had always been like that. My dad ran back into the room with an axe from the garage. I just barely got myself up and pulled my mom away in time before he started swinging. When the first blow connected with the base of the trunk, an agonizing wail filled the air. The tree lashed out and smacked my dad across the room. The last thing I saw before I blacked out was the tree shivering in pain. I'm still not sure as the sound of rattling bones filled the air. The tree does not want to leave your house. That sucks. Oh my gosh, this next part. So our tree is already up this year since we were never able to take it down from last Christmas. They had it in their house all year because they can't get it out. Oh my goodness, you don't know how fast I would have called someone to like literally dig it right out of the house. Like there's no way I'd be sleeping in that house if that was still there. For a whole year it's been in our living room and we just had to pretend that it wasn't. We made up lies and excuses so no guests would come over. My dad hasn't even been anywhere near that side of the house since he got out of the hospital. The tree is still attached to the floor, but I feel like it's rooted deeper than that. I feel like the roots go past the floor, down through the foundation of the house, and deep into the soil beneath. It has found its new home, oh my goodness. It's connected to something we're not supposed to see, and it's awakening in our house. It's been pretty quiet for the last few months, but with the holidays rolling back around, it started to act up again, which is why I'm posting this, to maybe get some help before it's too late. So far it's just been bones, but this morning I saw an eyeball. This story is so freaky and I feel like it's so underrated. Like, not a lot of people have seen it. It has 92 upvotes. This story needs thousands and thousands. Like, it is so good. It's so freaky. Glow trains. I just don't see a lot of scary Christmas stories that often, so it's really cool to read this.